This is a classical. It's a steel string. Sorry, it's a nylon string. It's because of its nylon string, it makes a much more mellow kind of sound. So it's very suited for classical music, jazz, a bit of bossa. And then the other type over here is the steel string, also more commonly known as the acoustic guitar, although technically both are acoustic guitars. It's more, because of its bright sound from the metal strings, it is more suited for playing folk songs, your contemporary pop, bit of rock and roll, country, blues, you know. So these are the two types. You gotta ask, what kind of music would I be interested in, and what kind of sound? You know, the most important thing is the sound. The common mistake that a lot of people make when purchasing a guitar is they tend to go for the looks. I know a guitar has to look good because it's a first impression, but sometimes looks should be secondary. The primary factor for buying the guitar is the sound quality. When you strum it, you want to like the sound that you hear and not make the guitar makes a kind of sound. You do not want that with you. So even though it may look very good. So if you do not know how to play the guitar, first thing would be to try and get hold of someone, a friend who knows how to play, you know, and grab them down to the shop, ask them, and make them become your slave, you know. Ask them to go and try the guitars for you, you know. Hey, test, on, listen, everything. And I think do not limit yourself to, say, one shop, you know, because there are so many shops out there. The choices are, you know, there's a wide range of choice for guitars. So you should go around, check out the different the prices, the different models, different brands, what kind of package perhaps that the shop has to offer. Classical guitars is pretty straightforward because it's just one standard shape. So all you need to note is probably the price, I guess. You know, something that doesn't hurt the wallet, but at the same time when you strum it, you know, it sounds good. So if you're unable to get a friend to come down and you know, help you, try to say learn something first. You know, learn a couple of chords is not too difficult. You know, don't have to do the very advanced yoga-like kind of structure for your hand. You know, just learn some simple chords. Go over there, strum it. You'll be able to hear the difference actually between the different guitars. We play the same thing. So with that in mind, because you also can get a feel. So that brings us to the next thing called the playability. Okay, the playability means we look at a few factors. When you grip the neck of the guitar, you know, how does it feel? Is it too thick, too wide? You know, feels like holding a tree trunk, or is it too thin that if you try to grab the cord, you'll break or whatever? It must feel comfortable. The curve, usually the curve, the back of the guitar is not exactly how should I put it, a perfect semicircle. You know, there's a slight oblique. They call it like asymmetrical, so that it fits your hand properly and it feels comfortable. Second thing would be the action. The distance between the string and the fretboard. So some guitars may come with action very high, you know, like 10 miles away from the fretboard, and then you got to press real hard to get the string down. And if the action is very high, it will make playing uncomfortable. You know, you go for a first guitar lesson. After that, it will be the same story. You leave the guitar under the bed, and 1,000 years later, your great-grandson will come and pick it up and they say, "Oh, this is the great-grandfather's guitar." So too low is also not so good. You do not want the guitar string to be like so close to the fretboard that when you press on the frets itself, it touches the other frets and causes what we call a buzzing sound. So, and because that will actually defeats the purpose of playing. You will not get the different notes, you get the sound all the way. So the playability, the feel, the sound, and finally I think would be the value. We look at the two types of entry level, so to speak. The first one is what we call the laminate. What do you mean by laminate? Laminate means like a plywood. So the wood itself, this top piece here, is made from layers, like a plywood itself, you know. It can go from 3 ply all the way to as thick as 11 ply. Some manufacturers just, I don't know how they do it, but they use a very thick ply and it muffles the sound out. So you want the ply to be as thin as possible. So laminates are definitely cheaper, easier to make, and usually fall within the price range that is comfortable for the beginner, for the budget. The other one is what we call the solid top. So the top is this piece over here. Solid top means that instead of a ply, it uses one piece of wood. Now imagine if you have a few pieces of cardboard. If you put it into layers and you try and bend them, it's not as flexible as compared to a single piece. Alright? It's more flexible. When you strum the string, the guitar actually vibrates in this manner. So imagine a solid top is more flexible. When you strum, it vibrates. It can project the sound out much better. Yes, a bigger projection, bigger sustain, and you get a better sound out of it. So that's what we mean by solid top. The top being solid, the back and sides will still be laminate. And of course, we go to the higher end models, which are normally sometimes termed as the full solids. So the top, the back, and the sides are one. I know they're not like one whole piece, but each piece is one piece of wood. Okay. So those are the things. So depending on your budget, you may want to get a laminate or a solid top to start off with. Right. If you go into the acoustic guitars, the steel strings, you notice that there are different shapes. Different shapes. Over the years, when the guitar manufacturers, they go about making guitars, they experimented with different sizes to actually produce a different kind of sound. This is what we call a grand auditorium model, and there are some variations to it. Some manufacturers they will make what we call the triple O or the OM model, which is a slight bit of difference, but it's actually still the same size. So this is like the smallest. So it's very suitable for like a fingerstyle kind of playing because it gives more boost to the higher range of frequency. So when you plug the melodies out from the guitar, it rings out much nicer on this. The other extreme end, over here, you see, this is what we call the jumbo. The jumbo is essentially like the enlarged version of the auditorium. So that is the granddaddy of all. So this big body, when you strum a chord, you get a very strong bass at the back end. Very suitable for heavy strummers, People play in church, for example, leading praise and worship, they love the jumbo size because it gives a very strong, powerful tone. And the other one that Jose just showed you, and you can take a look at this one as well, it's called the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is a model that's been popularized by this brand called Martin. And it's named after a World War II battleship actually. And it's kind of a size that's in between the jumbo and grand auditorium. So it gives that kind of flexibility. You can do this, you can do that. Of course, there's no restriction to say that, on the grand auditorium I cannot strum. It's just that the sound is not the same. So the preference usually for the type of music that you play will go into the size, of the instrument. Right. Sizes. The type of wood as well will affect the tone of the guitar itself. So when choosing, you should take a look at what are the different types of wood that goes into the making. Ask for the specifications. And if you like a mellow type of sound, you should try to go for guitars that have Indian rosewood back and sides. So like over here, this guitar back and sides is Indian rosewood. This is Indian rosewood. You can see the individual grains over here. and it gives a very mellow tone.